Good morning, class. Welcome to Module 2, Week 3. And here's the introduction video, a little recap of first module and introduction to Module 2. So hopefully, I finished grading your assignments, by the way. I hope that you noticed that last night. I made my last grade last night. Pretty productive week, I think. I think you're starting to understand, I hope, how this class works. We're building a foundation for what's going to be something greater. In the first 4 weeks of the class, as I noted in the schedule, we're really doing a lot of research, and we're doing a lot of the foundational work that goes into creating an exercise, corrective exercise program for a client. So spending an awful lot of time thinking about the assessment, the subjective and the objective portions of the assessment, what our client really needs, what they're willing to do, what they're capable of doing. And so we spent a lot of time researching certain parts to start to develop a rationale as to why we might want to incorporate those pieces in our program. And you're going to see throughout this course that in most cases we're going to do research to support what it is that we're going to be doing. We want to have some kind of supporting evidence that will influence our decisions based on things that we see and that we find. And so that's kind of how the course works in terms of the discussion. We in the first module we presented a question, we researched the question, and then we talked about how it might change the application, or how we might take what we found and apply it in a way that might be the same as we originally were going to apply it, or how it might be different. And you're going to see as the course evolves, we're going to be in situations with a client where, well, this module in particular, we're going to write the program. We're going to write a 4-week program, a 4-week corrective exercise program, assuming our client's going to be visiting with us 3 times a week. So that's 12 appointments. These appointments will evolve. In the practical, the writing of this, in the actual writing of the workout, we're going to have, we're going to have a designed progression from week 1 to week 4, where we're going to expect our client to make change. We don't know if change is going to really happen, so we're going to forecast change, assuming that there are no hiccups along the way. But then, even in the middle of this program, once things get rolling in weeks 5 through 8, we're going to maybe have to look at some of the research that we've done, see what's happening with our client in the moment, and we're going to have to apply some of the things that we've learned based off of the feedback, the real-time feedback that we're getting from an ongoing movement screen. Ongoing movement screen just meaning what your client's actually doing. We're always assessing the client, not just that thorough assessment that we did in the first module, but even in the workouts, we're always watching to see, is this really the right thing? What's this person feeling? Do they enjoy this? Do they not enjoy this? Is this really helping my person, my client? And then we're making our assessment and we're making our changes, manipulating our program based off of that feedback, that real-time feedback, as well as the static feedback that we get in the beginning. Of course, that's the marker. But there's also this real-time element as well. And you're going to see that's kind of how the course works as well. We do research, we learn about something, we maybe change our stance on it, or we reinforce our stance on what it is that we're trying to do, and then we take it into practice and we're going to apply it and see how that holds up, or if that needs to be researched again, or possibly reevaluated for a different stance. So Module 1, I hope, introduced us to that, researching, and then taking that research and how does that research reinforce or change what it is that we're trying to do in our corrective exercise programming. The assignments, really great job in the assignments, I thought. Very, very thorough assessment, taking into consideration your roles in the industry, taking into consideration your client. Obviously, the most important piece of the assessment process is really trying to become attuned, to be able to see through your client's eyes and feel what it is they're feeling, and so that when we program any kind of program, corrective exercise or any program, We're giving them the program that matches them, their level of motivation, their goal, and their skill level. Now, skill level doesn't always mean how good of an athlete I am. It could also mean how efficiently can I move. I might be great at my sport, but I might be injured. I would not consider that a high level. If so, I mean, you might have a professional athlete who might be one of the best in their sport, and that in their sport they're high level, but in their movement they may not be high level if they're suffering from back pain or a problem at the foot and ankle. I personally would not consider that a high level movement. Because there's going to be compensation there, and because they're so gifted and so great at what they do, they can get around that. We're great at adapting to what it is we're given. Our resources, we manipulate our resources to get from A to B, or to get from the 50-yard line to the end zone, or whatever your sport might be. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the straightest, most efficient line there. So there's going to be a lot of play, a lot of manipulation here. So take away from the first module, definitely absorb and then reevaluate. The assessment, pretty thorough assessment we went through. Now we're going to take that, we absorbed. Now we're going to evaluate, and we're going to now draw out in the second module what this is going to look like. And in the first week, we're going to go 4 weeks out. We're going to make this program. And then we're going to do a little research to see if what we've designed is supported, and if we really feel good about that, we'll kind of go back to the assessment a little bit, look at that, and we'll cross it over with what we've designed. We'll make changes, and we're doing this over the course of 2 weeks. Typically, in the field, this process is not going to take as long, and your client right now is waiting a little bit of time to get started. It's a longer process for them. But remember, this course is about you, and really understanding what it is we're trying to do with each one of these steps. And probably never again in your career will you get the opportunity to spend so much time on each component of this process. And so really I want you to feel as though that we're spending adequate amount of time researching each piece of this process, so that in the future, when you are spending your time applying this on a day-to-day basis, on a session-to-session basis with your client, whether in the fitness industry or another industry, or for yourself, you have a strong foundation and a strong research-based rationale as to why you're taking the approach that you're taking. And it may not be the approach that your classmate is taking necessarily, because your interpretation of research and your findings are going to be supported by your research and not your classmates. So we're going to spend an adequate amount of time right now on each one of these components. That way it is just quick call, or you'll know where to go to find what you need if you're presented with a case where you're maybe a little unsure of what you should do. So we're going to go through this process slow. It's a slow process. Hopefully your client doesn't become too impatient. We'll have to keep them happy some other way. Make sure that you're staying in touch with them and seeing what they're doing on a day-to-day, and keep track as they go, because they're probably maybe still active in what they're doing outside of this. Keep tabs on that as well. So module 2, we're going to be looking at creating this program. We're going to then do a little research. We're going to see if we still feel the same way in week 2, what we want to change, what we maybe want to manipulate based off of the assessment and our research. And then we're going to start in module 3 to practically apply this. So we're still in the development stage. We're still doing our research. We're still capturing our data, and now we're going to start to do our practical component, which is to create, and then we'll begin the practical component with the client in module 3. I am going to make one small adjustment, or maybe it's not an adjustment. I'm going to add a specific to the program design. These client sessions, in the time can vary. In a health club setting, you might have 60 minutes, depending on the organization that you work for, or if it's your business. These sessions could be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, 60, 90 minutes, 2 hours. I'm going to make these very specific. These sessions are going to be 30-minute sessions, 3 times a week, 30-minute sessions, 4 weeks. So when you design your program, make sure you can fit everything that you're trying to do in this 30-minute time frame, because you've got somebody coming in right after, and you can't be late for that appointment. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me this week or at any time. I hope that you're enjoying the class so far. Certainly enjoying your work. Wonderful job, and I'll see you in Module 2.